Good morning, everyone. 8 years ago, I purchased a 30-inch LED TV. A friend of mine who was working at a factory in Kunshan at that time told me that he was probably one of those workers at the assembly line where this TV literally rode off, and after putting together nearly 1,000 components. But merely 2 years ago, I bought another TV, this time a 40-inch one. The old one was moved to the kitchen at my parents' home. And perhaps the grease and the fumes at the kitchen were not something that the television could stand, and very soon it became soundless, although the images were fine. So for a while, I wasn't sure what to do with it, getting it repaired or simply getting rid of it. Eventually, as most of us do, it ended up in our storage room at home. But we all know how exorbitant Shanghai's housing prices are, so it makes absolutely no sense to store a broken TV at a space worth 50,000 yuan per square meter. So when our storage room gets filled up, I finally decided to sell it to the used electronics peddler right outside our residence compound for how much? 50 yuan. So it seems that the problem went away as easy as that. But it was exactly at that moment that I started to wonder, where do all the televisions go after they die? After certain research, I discovered, rather astonishingly, that they ended up in one of the two completely different destinations. I call one of it the road to hell and the other the road to heaven. The TVs that are sent off the road to hell are doomed for all kinds of atrocity that one could ever imagine. They are dumped into deep pits and buried, which has been the case for the most areas in China, as we all know. The electronics waste underground contains very high levels of untreated heavy metals and other toxic substances, which severely contaminate our soil. Of course, another alternative, actually equally hellish, is incineration, which is to set fire to the dump after very rudimentary dismantling. A large proportion of the waste ended up being treated like this in China, emitting very large amounts of dioxin and flying ashes that deadly pollute the atmosphere. And this is one major source of our haze. And of course, I'm yet to tell you the most appalling and brutal method. The corpse of a television is cracked open in the most atrocious way before its circuit board and metal components are dissolved with a dozen of chemical solvents in order to extract valuable heavy metals. There's a town in China in Guangdong called Guiyu. It's renowned for this. This small town is capable of handling tens and thousands of units of scrap electronics, generating several hundred million RMB of output value. And the total volume of the gold extracted from the e-waste in Guiyu has an impact on the market prices of gold in China. Sounds like a good way to drive GDP, but unfortunately, they use very, very primitive methods developed some 1,200 years ago. And workers use their bare hands to disassemble parts that can be reused, such as steel, copper, plastic, and circuit boards and other solids. And to extract gold, they use highly corrosive sulfur acid to base the chips and components along the riverbanks. And the true cost of such practices is daunting. Stinky rivers, putrid air, and very high rate of cancer incidence, among others, especially lung cancers. But Guiyu, unfortunately, is only a snapshot of China at large. In 2013, more than 24 million sets of televisions went on the same journey to the hell, and the number is increasing very, very fast. How fast? What is your guess? We can have a fairly decent picture just by observing the annual sales figure of the electronics in China. In 2014 alone, 450 million home appliances were sold, along with some 400 million cell phones, billions and billions of sets of tablet PCs, laptop PCs, microwave ovens, kitchen range hoods, rice cookers, water heaters, games consoles, you name it. These numbers are suffocating, and it's hard for me to imagine how incredibly crowded the road to hell is. But at the same time, fortunately, another gate is widely open, leading to the road to heaven. Along this road, discarded electronics are properly and effectively treated, recycled, and reclaimed, and the entire process is environmentally friendly and pollution-free. So what you're looking at is a workshop from Shanghai Xinjingqiao Environmental Protection Company. And here they've got different dismantling lines for different types of electronics. And the scrapped electronics gain a second life after being adequately dismantled. The valuable components are refurbished and reused. The other recoverable materials reverted back into glass, plastic, and metals. And the non-recyclable waste, finally, are shipped to legitimate incinerators following non-hazardous treatments. So, when we compare the road to hell with the road to heaven, it is very obvious that the road to hell only benefits the very few while causing 100 times more pollution. On the other hand, the road to heaven, on the opposite, boosts society's overall wealth. At the same time, we continue to enjoy nice environment. But why is it that 65% of the discarded home appliances and electronics ended up in hell? Personally, I see a myriad of reasons: economics, social, and legal. But the most prominent one is that we don't have enough legitimate e-waste collection and treatment channels in place in China. Why do I say so? Because two factors. First, there is a lack of traceability of e-waste collection and treatment and corresponding legislation. And second, we've got inadequate environmental awareness. Our residents do not have enough awareness, and there is no accessible venue and enough interest to encourage our citizens to hand over their end-of-life home appliances to the qualified recyclers. So we're not incentivized enough to hand over the used items to legitimate recyclers. So now that I've found the reasons, I hope to make things different. Therefore, I assembled a team of 8 people. And we're actually a typical programming geeks, code monkeys, so we naturally think of using IT technology to address the issue. Therefore, we've developed this machine. It's an artificially intelligent recycling machine. And internally, we call it Little White, although it's completely green color. But since our prototype machine was white, we've been calling it Little White from the very beginning. Along with this machine, we've designed a complete dispatching system for recycling. So once a discarded item is collected, Little White generates and prints out a QR code to be attached to the item as its ID card. And this allows the tracking of each scrapped product hassle-free. And for this, we've been working with Xinjingqiao Company so that each scrap product is readily traceable from the moment it is collected by our machine to the dismantling line and eventually after it's put into use. So eventually, once the traceability issue is achieved, an even more critical challenge is how to encourage collecting and recycling behaviors among our citizens. As we know, we need to spend a lot more money to buy a new item, but as the value of discarded electronics are typically very low and the cost associated with environmentally sound recycling is high, people got to be motivated enough to be willing to hand over their used items. To give you an example, an old TV is worth a meager 80 to 100 yuan. So how can we make it appealing for people to turn it over? And we thought about to make it appear more attractive through service offerings and user experience. For instance, for each TV that you hand over, we offer you 2 concert tickets, which is not only worth 1 to 200 yuan, but also brings about, wonderful opportunity and a potentially fantastic time. Of course, a used fridge can be exchanged for a week of free household services, so you can enjoy a week without worrying about domestic chores, or to exchange a broken microwave for a gallery or museum tour. And our most remarkable initiative is to place one of our recycling machines at a Buddhist temple in Shanghai. And the temple calls for believers and visitors to hand over their used cell phones instead of burning incense. So by using the Internet of Things technology, our machines offer a viable solution for recycling traceability, and also we help increasing the awareness. But I believe it's just the beginning. With the rapid development of the IoT technology and the improvements of government policies, I believe that electronics and electric products of tomorrow are set to be internet connected from the moment they leave the factory gates. Just like the network computers, each of them will be uniquely identifiable throughout their lifetimes. So when an electronic product is close to its end of useful life or its replacement period, a system can automatically trace its whereabouts, collect it, and ship it to the qualified recyclers. In addition, the big data generated by all the internet-connected manufacturers will allow us to easily determine the reuse value of each dismantled component and how and where it can be reused. And finally, the Internet of Things technology can make government regulations a lot easier because improper recycling and illegal disposal of things can be controlled from the very beginning, the very source. Therefore, I hope that in the near future, through our relentless efforts and technical innovations, each product will obtain its unique identity, realize its true value, enjoy the dignity they well deserve, and eventually all go to heaven. Thank you very much.